Hey everybody, I'm Frank Data Lorenzo here on LinkedIn Live for our weekly 15 minutes together. Talk a bit about data. So before we get started, let's keep in mind this is a weekly event, and our mission is to help share some awareness, give you some insight, maybe some tips, tricks, education all around data, best practices for data management. And so we look forward to doing these every Thursday at 8 a.m. Now, if you're joining us live, I'd love you to put one in the chat so we know you're here with us live. Um, if you happen to watch it on demand, because these stay on LinkedIn, so you can watch it at your leisure, please go ahead and put a two in the chat so we can respond to you later. And let's have some fun. Let us know where you're watching from, some of your favorite points about data, anything you'd like to share. And let's get started. We have a lot to unpack today. We're going to be talking about data visualization. And just as a kind of quick recap, a few weeks ago, we talked about the importance, we spoke on the importance of best practices, well governed data model. Morning, Jill. Morning, LinkedIn user. One, I love it. Um, and then we also spoke about at the next session a little bit about that data governance, what that means, and some data security. So now let's imagine we've got a solid data model in place. We're comfortable with the security. Calling in from Houston. Love Houston. All right. Again, go Astros. Um, Now, how do we maximize that data? Well, visualization of data is a really strong concept and a strong way to get the most out of all the data that you're able to review. Um, Simply, if we look at what are some of the benefits of visualizing data? Well, first of all, more than ever, we collect trillions of rows of data. There's more data available to us than we've ever had before. So, how do we leverage all that? How do we get our arms around it? Well, when you're visualizing data, you'll see trends you never knew were right before you. Most of us look at reports, spreadsheets, it's rows and columns of data. It's hard to interpret what that means. But a gas gauge type, red, yellow, green, red bad, green good, becomes pretty easy. So what we're going to do today is look at a few options for data visualizations via the Power BI platform. And hey, Lindsay, it's good to see you here. So we're going to look at some options, and because there's so much with visualizations, we're going to be covering this for the next few weeks. I think there's a lot to go over, and one thing to think about when you're designing a data visual: is it a pie chart? Is it a bar chart? We're going to look at some examples. Is your audience? Who are you designing this for? So how would they best receive the data? Down to colors and types of charts. And believe me, you have a lot of options, which is great. And we'll take a look at what some of those are. And then have a consistent approach to how you continue to develop visualizations for said audience. And then once you're doing that, they will see trends in their data that they were missing. They just didn't know were there. When you see an outlier dot way up in the left side, that really shows much more easily than trying to hunt through rows and columns and pages of data. So why don't we take a look now? If you see my head bopping left, right, I've got a couple of screens, so I'm not lost. Hopefully, I'm just looking for the right screen to share and show you. So let's go ahead and see if I can do this. Sharing on LinkedIn Live, my first challenge. So I think I'm getting better at it. Hang on. Okay. You should see it coming up in three, two, wrong screen. So that was not successful, but this one will be. Here we go. And there's the data that we wanted to review. So what I've done is I've logged into Power BI. And there's a couple of things I want to point out as we go through this. Of course, visualizations, but just kind of remind you two real differentiators and I think benefits for clients that are on this data-driven journey. One is the value of a well laid out reporting transformed information engine database. Ours is called QuickLaunch. As a reminder, built specifically for JD Edwards, Viewpoint Vista, NetSuite, and Salesforce. So plug those in and you're ready to go in weeks. So what does that mean? What's the value of that? And then the value of leveraging Microsoft. I mean, we all use Excel, we all use Word. Once we have our data in that platform, what are some of the cool things we can do with Microsoft? And I'm going to share this one because you sure are right. Those multiple screens can be a challenge. Thank you for the support. That is true. Okay, so let's get started. If we look at this particular report, I wanted to start with something that most of us are familiar with. So it looks a lot like an Excel spreadsheet. In other words, we're looking at a table view of data, rows and columns of data. And there's some nice things you can do with this. You can, if I want to look at the highest sales amount prior year to date, I can simply sort on that column and it's going to provide that. Who the rep is, the product group, some data points like gross profit and the like. I want to come back over to the highest sales amount. It looks like Robert's leading the charge and then some. So I can get some visibility here. It's a good start. But now I am in Power BI. So let's take a look over here at some of the other components of this. What are the fields? This is something that makes this much easier to just create and lay out in the first place. You see, I have gross profit percent, for example. Well, if I went to sales, and again, if I have a governed data model set up this way, I'm not writing formulas, I'm selecting measures, right? So if I said, on my sales amount, for example, maybe, and I can make this a little bigger so we all see it. Hopefully that helps. Maybe just for kicks, I wanted to see the sales month to date. So I could take that, drop it in the grid, and now I see the sales month to date column. So very easy to just quickly massage, manipulate the data. However, not change it. In Excel, I can do whatever I want. It's a good thing. It's also a scary thing. I can change the accuracy, the integrity of the data. Not what I mean, but how I can utilize the data from within the model. Okay. Then the other thing is the myriad of visualizations that you have at your fingertips. These are visualizations just come out of the box. Now, I don't think this data would show well as I have it laid out as, let's say, a pie chart, but I can do that. I select a pie chart. Obviously, that would be difficult for me to navigate, but I can create and select any of these that I choose. So a bar chart. But for now, let's come back to our table. And then to walk through some visualizations, I created a few tabs along the bottom here. Now, just to back up for a moment, in Power BI, you've got dashboards, you've got reports. We're focused on reports at this stage of this data visualization journey and discussion. And with reports, you can have multiple pages and you can have multiple tiles of visualizations on a report. I'm going to show an example of that. So if we look at a waterfall chart, now a waterfall chart is really a compelling data visual for seeing variances. For example, actual versus prior year, shows the negatives, easy to navigate. So now I'm looking at some data. I see it by product group. If I want to dive in a little bit further, we're getting killed, it looks like, on appliances. Again, green good, red bad in this scenario. If I right mouse click, I can drill down. Well, now we're looking at the specific components. So, ranges, we took a hit. Washers, still a bit negative. We can float over, and the tooltip provides us some additional data points. Prior year, year to date, gross profit percent. Now, the tooltips are right here. So again, and I won't go too deep into this with the time we have allotted, but I can take any field I'd like, drag it into the tooltip, done. As soon as I float my mouse, I've got that tooltip visible to me in the data within. See if we have any questions. Good morning. Good morning. Here. Good to see you here. All right. Now, let's say I'm looking at this, ranges. I want to know further. Notice it says right click to drill through. I can come here and I could actually dive right into all the details that make up that data. You notice the amount would be the same here. Hit the back button, and we can head on back to where we were. Now, that's one example with a waterfall, and there's a lot of different ways you can kind of configure this and filter it and drill down, but this gives you a basic example that easily highlights the variances for me. Another one, kind of like this one, is a scatter chart. Now, a scatter chart can be good to see a trend over time. Maybe Jane was the best rep ever in April, but that was it. Over the course of the year, it was Robert that kept consistently performing, and we could see that trend. We'd see it. Notice the word see. I can't see it in an Excel spreadsheet. So just really quickly, if I play this timeline out, I could see the trend over time. And some other cool things you can do, and I'm just going to show one or two. I know the clock is speeding along, and this is way too much fun for me. But let's say I wanted to select this one and this one here, just for example. Standard Microsoft keystrokes, control select, Control C, copy, Control V, paste. Another benefit with Power BI, I find, lowers the learning curve. If I hit play, now I can see, oh, yeah, boy, real star. Uh-oh. Now look at the lead coming up here. Look at the gap change. So I can see that over time. And then just like the other charts, I can float over it. Bada bing, bada boom. I've got my tooltip, right? So I can get a little more visibility and I can drill through if I so choose. Now, another visual that can be really helpful and impactful is one that shows a map. Now, in a well-governed data model, again, if you look, for example, here, if I go to my customer table and I pop into the address, we've geotagged all the fields that would make sense to the address, postal code, city, state, zip, full address. So when I select any of these fields and bring them on over into my visual, it's going to map them for me automatically based on that geotag. Hey, good morning, Mr. Campbell. Good to see you with us. Let's know if you have a question, sir. All right. And if I float my mouse, same thing. Get a tooltip. Now, this one I only see sales year to date. If I quickly wanted to change that, I see my tooltip right here. I can come to sales. Let's do one quick example just to show you. I'm not kidding. I want gross profit year to date. Drop that in the tooltip. Bada bing, bada boom. Now I have that visibility. And same kind of thing. I can drill down, drill up. If we drill up, what did we start? We started across the country at this group. Now, I'm able to easily work with the visuals because of the Microsoft capabilities within Power BI. But what really makes it go is the data set that I'm able to use. So let's take a look at another one. If we go to an interactive summary, I wanted to give you all an example of a multi-visual page report. So all of the visuals we looked at, the waterfall chart, the scatter chart, the map, and then the product group in a matrix or a table, I have right here. And it's interactive. I still want to hone in on appliances. I select appliances. All the other visuals can filter to that selection. And there's a lot of different options here. Again, over the next few weeks, I hope to cover more. If we right mouse click here, I can drill down. And you'll see the charts all change accordingly. And then finally, if I'm looking at Jason Lee, boy, negative sales compared to last year. Yeah, that's not a great trend, but sales is hard. And if we drill through right from here, I can blast into the details for that particular item that I'm looking at. Jason in this city, and then just hit my back button and I can come back. Now, the last thing I wanted to share today, and this is direct benefit of being in the Microsoft ecosystem. If we come to our visualizations, and I click right here, get more visuals, it will take me out to the Microsoft Marketplace. Here we go to the Microsoft Marketplace. Perfect. And right here are all the different types of visuals. So this kind of begins what our conversations will build on. What types of visuals? We'll continue to build on that. And you've got change over time. I don't need to read them all. You can see them, but KPIs, for example. What are all the different KPIs that are options in visuals? There's the dial gauge I mentioned, the tachometer, things that we're used to seeing. So this, again, is a direct benefit of using Power BI and all the innovation that Microsoft puts into the solution. So a really wonderful thing to be able to come out here and build the visualizations that help you manage your business the best. So let's just do a quick summary. So we talked about a few weeks ago data models, right? Data governance of those models. Now, how do we visualize our data? And we've looked at a few examples of visualizing our data. We looked at a scatter chart. We looked at a map. We looked at a waterfall visual. We're going to explore more in the coming weeks. And a little teaser, I think we might have a guest speaker on our show, on our LinkedIn Live, either next week or the week after. So look for that. Again, if you watch this on demand, please put a 2 in the chat and we'll respond. Again, our goal is to help you learn more on your data-driven journey. We are Preferred Strategies. I was pointing to the wrong one, where we are all about your data. I want to thank you for spending these 15 minutes with us today. Reach out if you have any questions, and let's get visualizing our data. You won't be disappointed. Have a great day. Thank you. Take care.